So today, lads, we're going to be talking about Stephanie White, and we're going to be talking about basically what she has been saying about coaching the Indiana Fever. She's obviously been appearing on some podcasts. Obviously she's doing her own work, and she is going to be talking about what she basically just again about the Indiana Fever, because that is a big thing for Stephanie White. Like, she got a big job. She got one of the biggest jobs of basketball, because again, look, coaching the team that has 5 times more viewers than any other team, it's a big deal. It is a huge deal, and it's not easy. So let's take a listen to some clips from Stephanie White's interview. Before we get on to that, I just want to thank you guys so much for 41,000 subscribers. Like, that was our goal by the end of the month. We're not going to hit 42,000, but if we can hit 41.5k by the end of the month, that would be insane. Like, we are trying to creep towards the 50k by the start of the WNBA season. We're not going to do that. It's a very lofty goal, but you just never know. It'll be quite close to the 50k by then. But anyway, yeah. So let's take a listen to what Stephanie White has had to say.
I'm looking forward to, when you think about Caitlin Clark and a generational talent, and the sometimes overlooked Kelsey Mitchell, who has been like one of the hardest workers that I've ever seen from the time I was covering her at Big Ten Network, watching her at Ohio State. And then Aaliyah Boston, who, prior to Caitlin Clark coming on the scene.
By the way, this is recent, and she mentioned Kelsey Mitchell. Like, this, as far as I'm aware, recent. And let's see when this was. Could I be wrong with this and this just hasn't been seen? Or is this recent? This was 9 days ago. So, like, obviously, this was after they cored Kelsey Mitchell. Or it was before they cored Kelsey Mitchell. But she mentioned Kelsey Mitchell being there, which is obviously big because it was 9 days ago.
Was another generational talent, and is, right? Like, so it's like you think about the pieces that we have and putting that all together. I hope, number one, for Caitlin, that I can be a resource. Mm-hmm. I didn't have the same stuff that she has on a global scale. Mm-hmm. Thankfully we didn't have social media at the time, which amplifies everything. But I've been through it on a smaller scale. And so hopefully I can help her navigate, some of the extra stuff, while pushing her to be her best and challenging her to step outside of her comfort zone on the floor. I have the advantage of I was an opponent, right? And so scouting her and this is what.
And that's one of the biggest things. Like, if you looked at how with games where Caitlin Clark really struggled, like, a lot of people are like, oh, it was just Dejanay. They threw so many looks at Caitlin. They did. Like, they went from blitzing the screens to kind of soft hedging the screens to hard hedging the screens. They did so many different things. They threw so many different looks at her. It was hard. Like, Caitlin Steele, by the way, absolutely cooked them in Game 2 in the playoffs. In Game 1, where she got her eye poked, she couldn't hit a jump shot, but she did absolutely cook them. Her Game 2 against Connecticut was one of her 5 best games of her career. But, like, the Sun really did a good job on Caitlin Clark. So that is a thing. She scouted her probably better than anyone else.
This is what we try to do to make you uncomfortable. This is how we game planned for you. And again, being that straight shooter, like, okay, like these are the areas that we need to improve. And putting those pieces together while also thinking about the holistic version of this team that we have, who is incredibly gifted on the offensive end of the floor. Yeah. Offense is what I love. And so being able, trying to think about all these things that we can do. And
I love how they were incredibly gifted on the offensive side of the floor. And then Christy Sides decided everything they were good at, we're going to stop in the playoffs because, I don't know, maybe in my experience, slow down teams win, but it's like, dude, you tried to turn, like, the Connecticut Sun played faster than who were the slowest paced team in the WNBA, played faster than the Fever in the playoffs. Like, we will never forget Christy Sides' ball. We'll never forget Christy Sides' ball. It was bad.
Heck, we had a staff meeting a couple of weeks ago in Indy, and it was like, guys, we got to scale it back. We're not going to be able to do all of this in year one. We're not going to be able to do all of this in training camp. Like, we're going to be able to. So staying ahead of the curve and watching all of these, NBA games and EuroLeague games and thinking about the things that we can do is really exciting to me.
Well, that's fun to hear. You know, watching other leagues, seeing what teams are doing, seeing what we can do. I'm certain they're watching Kelsey Mitchell play in China and seeing what the coach is doing, because she's got a really, really good coach in China. I assume they're watching all of that stuff and seeing what works. And I mean, it's better than PE teacher watching YouTube tutorials, which was Christy Sides being like, you know what, let's run 17 quick hitters. It's like we need to run more sets for Caitlin. It's like, just run some form of motion offense so that she's moving. Don't have all 5 players standing there watching and then just running 17 pin downs and hoping they work. Man, it's nice. It's nice hearing like an actual basketball coach talk.
Do I think it's going to be a seamless transition? No. I mean, it's going to take some time. Sure. And just like any young team, I mean, you don't get back-to-back number 1 picks by being really talented early, right? Just like any young team, it's going to take some time. Yeah. You know, and it's going to, we got to put some pieces together and we've got to continue to build. So managing expectations is going to be important. But I think laying the foundation for this is what we have to do to compete at a championship level. Like this is why home court matters. This is why you can't have off day. This is why we can't be 11th in the league in defense, right? Like we got to get to at least middle of the pack, you know, all of those different things. And so as a competitor, it's exciting. Yeah. And it's exciting to coach generational talents. You know, and that outweighs the other stuff that we might have to deal with.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, to be fair, that other stuff would have turned off a lot of coaches, all of that like off the court stuff. And it's like I've always compared it to the Lakers. Like, you can be mediocre coaching a mediocre team, or you can be a mediocre coaching a team that has mediocre expectations. But if you're coaching the Lakers, it doesn't matter what team you have, your team could stink. Like, you could be coaching the modern day Lakers, who are very average. You know, it's still title or bust. It's still title or bust for JJ Redick. So it's always hard to judge on that, but obviously not everyone wants that job. But still, with Stephanie White, she is saying everything that the Fever fans want to hear. She's saying exactly what Fever fans want to hear. She's saying exactly what Fever fans are expecting to hear from their coach. Like, they're going for it. They're going for it. And look, I think also she's effectively saying, look, our goal is not, well, we're probably not going to win the championship next year. And that's a fact. I don't think the Fever are going to win the 2025 WNBA championship. That's just reality, to be honest. They're probably not going to win it. Heck, like, second season, Aja Wilson, they were very mediocre for the Aces. And I'm pretty sure, if I'm not mistaken, that Aces team with Aja Wilson, even in that second year, had Liz Cambridge, Jackie Young, rookie, young Kelsey Plum, young Aja Wilson, Kayla McBride, De'Erica Hamby, and they still weren't that good. So, and that team's significantly more talented than this Fever team. So yeah, it is going to be an interesting one. I don't think people are saying they're so talented in offense. I think there are 2.5 talented offensive players on the team. Because I think Aaliyah Boston is a talented offensive player depending on the system. Or is a good offensive player depending on the system. I think that Kelsey Mitchell's a really talented offensive player, and obviously Caitlin Clark. But I don't think the rest of them are very good in offense. Like, the team literally just goes where Caitlin goes, to be honest, on the offensive end. But it is clear that the focus is on defense, which means I don't see the Satu thing happening. Because as talented as all-worldly talented as Satu is on offense, and how much better she is than Alyssa Smith, even on the defensive end, to be fair, she's not a great defender, and with that reason, I don't see how Alyssa Smith fits in to whatever Stephanie White is going to be doing. But anyway, I'll see you guys.